Okay, we are live. So, hello everyone, even if you're watching live or archived, doesn't matter. Let's see. Hello again, another TV viewer. It's nice to see you're back. Thank you. And yes, let's just get straight into Trainz. So, last time we had a little bit of trouble with this intersection. So the cars just stopped at the intersection and then started blowing the horns. Didn't expect that, but I was on the forums, and as it turns out, other people are having this issue as well. Might be a bug in Trainz, might be something to do with the Trainz version or the assets not being compatible anymore, I don't know. I've contacted the Trainz support today actually, so we'll see what they come up with, but for now I'm just going to put the intersections in just so that I know what the levels are supposed to be, because the intersections can't be rolled. So for example, in places like this, the intersection, I'm on the session layer, the intersection is cutting into the terrain like that. So, actually, let's see, I don't think they can be rolled. No, it does not allow rolling. So, if we attach the road to this, then it will naturally also have the same inclination as the intersection. So if I just quickly attach these parts here, and then I put the terrain down, you can see that this slope now looks very different. So yes, this does have a big impact. So I'm going to do this even if the cars do stop at the intersection. If the tooting of the horns gets too annoying, I'll just turn off traffic temporarily. So, yes. Which does also mean that some of these things are going to get a lot steeper. Well, maybe this could be kind of a side street that doesn't have houses at the front, or fronts of houses, so maybe more the sides or the back of houses, so we can have a wall of fence climb. And we've just gained another viewer, so hello, whoever you might be. Okay. So yes, I'm going to do this as quickly as I can, because I don't want this to take up a lot of time, because I want to get to some exciting things, like for example, starting to place some buildings and getting a feel for the town. That's going to be really good. Yeah, see, it's happening again. The cars are stopping at the intersections. If you look here, okay. Let's see. And stopped. Yeah. There's going to be a real traffic jam building up behind here. It's already starting. I mean, it is kind of funny in a way. And I've checked, and in driver, this does not seem to happen. But in driver, cars coming up from the merging road disappear as soon as they go beyond this point, so as soon as they go back onto the road. So, yeah, something's not going on. No, something is going on that's not right. That's how I meant to phrase that. Okay. So let's see. Is there a... No, there isn't. I was wondering if there was already a spline point in the road, but it's just the crossings, the intersections spline point that was showing through the terrain. That didn't attach properly, did it? Oh, apparently it did. That's odd. Ah, you can hear them starting to honk their horns. Let's see if we can hear them again. I know, as soon as I go away, he'll start shooting the horns again. There we go. Stereo. Okay, that's enough. And I'm actually really glad that this strange car thing is being documented on the live stream, because yeah, it's an interesting thing. I wouldn't like it to get lost. Okay. I get it. These cars, it feels like the mayor of this town or whatever has decided to do some road maintenance, to order some road maintenance work while the roads are being heavily driven, and there haven't been any diversion signs put up, and now everybody's getting angry because the roads are all still under construction while they're already driving on them, which admittedly is kind of what's happening. But I didn't realize that Trainz' AI was advanced enough to act properly in this situation. Okay. You know, I was just thinking, we might actually be able to use this thing that I've discovered here, which I did play TRS-19 quite a lot before I started the series, but I made a route that's set in the sort of 1840s or 50s, so it's a broad gauge British route. So that means there's no road traffic there. So I didn't stumble across this bug, even if it was in Trainz back then already. So maybe we could... Let's see what's going on here. Why is this getting so low? Oh yes, maybe we can put this in the town's name or something. Why is this going down so much? That's odd. Anyway, yeah. So maybe we could call it... I mean, I was going to call it something to do with the lake, which is probably more realistic. Or maybe with this little gulch, I guess it's called, coming through here. But maybe we could call it something like... let's see. Well, maybe we could combine the two. Maybe we could call it something like maybe Toot Point Lake or something like that. Although maybe something a bit more original than that. I mean, if anybody's watching who's got an account, then feel free to suggest something in chat. Let's see. Just here's we go. I'm just looking to see if we've missed any crossings. Yeah, that's a bit steep. Okay, so now let's see. Have we missed crossings anywhere? Basically, I'm just keeping a lookout for any moving traffic at this point, and that's probably where we've missed a crossing. Everything seems to be pretty well gridlocked, so I don't think I've missed a crossing. Oh, and by the way, in case you're wondering why this crossing seems to work, it's because the road isn't actually connected to this crossing. I've put in the invisible road over the top of this junction, just so that basically I was trying to see if it also works if just two roads go into one another, and it does. So yes. Also, the same thing applied to some of the some of the crossings. So I'm not sure if the crossing. I was planning on using the one of the TRC crossings. I'm not sure if that will work now, but we can try. Okay, I realized I just saved, but I remembered a bit too late. It's just a reflex almost that whenever I finish doing a section, I always save, and then right before I start doing another section, I save again, just as a bit of redundancy in case I forgot to save the first time. Yeah, you can tell that I've lost quite a bit of work due to not saving in the past. So let's see. TRC. So, first things first. Let's see. This... yeah, we need to move this a bit back, sort of to around here. I do realize that this makes this junction a bit more sharp, but I want to only put in one, what's it called? One marker. Okay. So I'm going to see if I can get away with one of them. Okay, so the way the system works is you place down all the objects that have to do... I wonder, how loud is that tooting in the background? Can you hear me alright? Or is the tooting too loud? Oh, they seem to have stopped. Oh no, there they go again. You know what, I'm going to... Actually, no, I don't want to turn off the traffic flood just now because I want to see if it works with the crossing later. 1 second, I'm just going to quickly look at OBS to see what the levels are at. No, it should be fine. It should be fine. The levels aren't coming close to the levels of my voice. So the way this works is you have to name all these objects. So these triggers down here, these markers I've placed. The first needs to be a number. So for example, let's see. I tend to group these together. So actually, does it need to be a number? Maybe it doesn't. So I'll just try X001, which is the group name. So the entire crossing, all the assets of the crossing will share this name, and then the @ symbol, so the AND symbol, and then the unique identifier. So in this case, 1, since it's the first object we're naming. And I'm just going to give it a range of 50 in either direction. This will be increased when it comes to it, but for this I'm just going to keep it at 50 so it's easier to test. So now the next one. So X102, 50 and 50, X 103, oops, 50 and 50. Next is the actual traffic stopper, which I know at the moment we don't really need, but we do need a traffic stopper here. Like that. And although this does have attachment points for the track, you don't actually need to attach the track here. It's enough to attach the road, I believe, unless they changed it in TRS-19. But it should be enough to just attach the road and then name it keeping within the TRC naming scheme. So X 104. And now we just need the crossing indicators. So let's see, TRC. What do we have? We've got no barrier, and these are all US crossing signs. So we've got no barrier, we've got one with a barrier, and then we've got one with a crossbar, and then we've got pre-built ones with track already attached, and we've got another SafeTran one without a bar. Oh, and we've got this one, the catenary. No, not catenary, sorry, cantilever. I've got the traffic stoppers. I've got this one. I've also downloaded some wigwam ones. Let's see how. Is that not how you spell that? The ones with the dangling lights. How is it spelled? Oh, wigwag, not wigwam. Sorry. These ones. But these ones already have tracks attached. And I've only got ones for 1 track or 2 track, so I can't really use them here at the moment because these are 3 tracks, not 1 or 2 tracks. So I'll just try out this bit rusty one because, well, it's in US, so it'll be interesting to see how it works. So let's see. I'm just going to place this roughly around here. So turn roughly like that. I'm going to name it X105, I believe we were at, and this has actually got several settings. So it's got the number of track indicator, which in this case should be 3, and it's got the no bell, no sound, or there's a bell and sound. So let's see. The bell is ringing continuously while the crossing is active. The bell is ringing during 20 seconds and then stops. 20 seconds stops, then stop and ring again during 5 seconds after the train passed. I'm going to do this one, which is it rings for 20 seconds and then stops. Yes, I know. They're getting very impatient, these drivers. I mean, I can understand it. I mean, if the very nature of the world, the very fibers that make up the world prevent you from doing what is literally your only purpose, then I might blow the horn as well. But I'm sentient, and the cars are probably not sentient. Although, to be fair, I haven't actually asked them. Okay, so Xing and 6, obviously, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yes. And I'm just going to set this up as well to use the track sign, so 3 tracks, and then the bell sound as well, ring for 20 seconds and stop. I'll save, and this should have updated the list of the markers, which it hasn't. I'll just quickly go into driver and then go back and see if that updates things. Whoops. Okay, and as you can see here, this is what I was talking about. See, the cars do cross over this way, but if there's a car merging in like here, you can see it just disappears, it vanishes. Here's another example. Okay, although if they do come up from this angle, they do drive over fine. So let's see. Okay, now I'm going to go back. I'm now going to check and see if they've if the markers recognize the other objects in the crossing. Huh. This one only recognizes 2 more. So the trigger and the crossing, I wonder why. Oh, maybe I need to refresh them all. That could be. No. Apparently not. X100, X102, X101, 3. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. I just want to quickly see sorry, if I can get it to work. And if not, we'll just continue on for now and wait until the bug's been fixed. So I'm here, then I'll go back. Then let's see. Nope, it's not here. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I might as well just put down a locomotive and see if maybe in driver it works and it just doesn't work in surveyor for some reason. I mean, you never know. The traffic seems to mostly work in driver. So let's see what to put down. How about this one? A Southern Pacific SD40 T-2. This one looks good. I'll just actually place it a bit further away. Actually, I'll place it over here. We can see what this looks like for the first time. And then I'm going to approach the junction, see if anything happens. And this is quite loud, so I'm quickly going to go over to OBS and see what the levels are at. So if I'm talking like this, it's still in the green, but I think it might be a bit loud, so I'm just going to turn it down just a little bit more. So just like that. And again, I can't hear myself, so I need to check the stream, but then I'd have to put on the other headphones. I think that's okay. And I'm not going to be zoomed in that much anyway. Okay. I mean, the interior looks good. I mean, look at that texture quality. That texture quality, yes. Okay. 2 blasts of the horn to get us going. Bell as well. Oh, and it's got flashing lights. I'm assuming that those flash after you've used the horn, maybe? Not sure. Okay, so we're approaching. If you remember, we set it up so that the junction should activate at a distance of 50 meters. Oh right, I can't change the volume. And anything activating? Not so far. Nope, nothing's activated. Yeah, so the TRC crossing system doesn't work at the moment. Okay, I'll just ignore it for now. No, I'll get rid of these markers because they're trackside objects, and we haven't put down the. And this is still the. I mean, this is still the temporary track. We'll replace it with the one we're actually using a bit later. But yeah, that because I want this. Well, actually, yeah, I might want this to use the rusty one. In which case I can't use the bulk replace, so any trackside objects we've put down would be deleted. Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to leave the crossing for now. And now, let's see if I can actually turn off the traffic for now. Region, let's see. Default region should have no traffic, if I remember correctly. And there's the traffic, gone. Yes. Okay, so what to do next? Well, next we would need to put in buildings. So before we do that, I'm actually going to put down the base grass texture, just so that it's easier to see. It's easier to see what the town looks like with the buildings on it. Also, this locomotive I want to remove because I don't want to leave it there. I don't want it blocking the track in case we want to run anything down here later. Also, it was suggested to me after the stream to maybe move these rocks out of the way so you can see the window, like maybe one of those, maybe a fairy's house you sometimes see in the UK where they've got little doors on them. Let's see if that looks any good. Well, I mean, no, because the rock is curved, it isn't straight. And if you look at it, none of these edges are particularly straight, so it doesn't really work. But I tried. Okay, so now let's go over here. So this, I'll actually do the well, that's an interesting thing, because I was going to say I'll do the station area first, so put in a little parking lot here, maybe something like that, but I haven't done the texturing, so I think I'll actually do the texturing first and then I'll put down the buildings, or at least the sort of the the main bit of texturing, not the forests, because, well, actually okay, since nobody, I was going to ask the chat to see if maybe anyone in the chat had preference for what to do first, but since nobody in the chat seems to be typing anyways, I'm just going to say we'll do the forest first and the texturing. So let's do that. Actually, did we, let's see, what order did we do this in? Oh, right, I completely forgot. The dirt track, we need to make this accompany the track, which is why we put in the bridge in the first place. Yeah, that's a bit of an important thing. Okay, just quickly going to go around applying the vertex height. Huh. I mean, does this look... Huh, what's going on here? That looks oddly strange. Wait, is there a difference in whether I place this way or this way? I think there is. Oh, it must be the normal map. It must have a different orientation depending on which way I place it somehow. Although, huh. Okay, so I'm just quickly going to replace this having turned it the right way, so that we don't get any of that difference between the two. Although here, surprisingly, it looked better this way. Alright, because the angle's changing, so it's, yeah, sometimes splines are strange in Trainz. So let's see. And now I'll apply the height to the tracks, and then I'll remove the height, the vertex side of the road maybe. Although it does have some pretty tall ballast, so maybe that won't be necessary. Nah, it will be necessary, it's in the ground here. Okay. Quickly save. Actually, I'll leave those two. In case we do any more terraforming here, I don't want the road to get raised up. Okay, now we can get on with the forest. Although, I know I keep going back and forth. But before we place the trees, it might be good to paint the cliff face around here, so we, when we can still see the side of the slope more clearly. So I'll actually do that first. And I'll just go back to the cutting over here to get our cliff texture. And actually, I'll increase the scale a bit. Is that still sharp? Yeah, that's still sharp enough. And we'll put in the river texture down there a bit later. Because I might actually, because even though you can make the water in Trainz, so the default terrain water, go up and down hills, it's a very delicate process. Because basically, when you're drawing water on the terrain, it always goes to the height that the water was at that you clicked on, even if you put in a different height yourself manually. So that means that if you accidentally put two pieces of water together, or you want to change one of the height of one piece of water, then you need to erase the whole water in that area, and then click and drag and draw in water from an area where there is no water yet, or previously, and then make sure that you don't accidentally cross the line over to another sort of tile of water, because otherwise that would get set to that height as well. And it's just quite time consuming. I did do it for one route, actually for one river in one route, and yeah, I think that in this case, since we're not that close up to the water anyways, well, not yet anyway, it might be better to just use textures, because the advantage of that is that with textures you can also get rapids and foam being kicked up by the water. Oh, and I've just realized that it looks like nighttime already, so yes. Oh, there's also a very small spider on the outside of my window. It looks quite nice silhouetted against the bluish purpley night, well, evening sky. It's being very still. Okay, I'll turn on the light. Don't worry, I'll turn it on. There we go. Okay, so sorry. There we go. Just painting some more rock up here. How does that look? I think it looks good as a beginning. Maybe just a little bit more. Oh, not. I said a little bit more, not a lot more. So a little bit more rock over here to indicate that this was cut out of the landscape. And then of course the rock on the other side. And I'll just go over this again, just so that it's not as blurry. And just to make those rocks here fit in better, what we might do is place some more boulders on the cliffside or on the valley at sort of intermediate points, if that's the right word to use. Okay. Oops. Now, how does that look? Well, I mean, it's not looking great at the moment, but I think that's mainly because it's all grass around here. Although maybe we could put in just a little bit more grass over here where it's a bit flatter, just to kind of break up this one cliff face. And if we do get into having these bigger cliff faces, then what I might do is I might find a different rock texture to kind of mix in. One thing that you can do is you can increase the scale and then draw over it like that, and to experiment with different scales, kind of break it up, but you can still see the same repeating patterns. For example, this kind of curve shape here is the same as down here and over here, so maybe I will need to find another rock texture. Oh, and these are the kind of river texture that I was thinking of. Obviously the scale is a bit too high for this, and if painted like this, it is quite noticeable. But if you mix them, so for example, I'm not going to do the entire river now, I'm just giving an example. So if you painted this over here like that, kind of mixed it in with this texture a little going down here, and a bit more of a free texture with not as many rocks inside. So making this come up here, kind of use this texture over here a bit more in the center of the river. And you can see that this is already looking a lot more like a mountain river that's actually flowing somewhere than if we had water that looks like this, just at an angle. Because the water wouldn't actually look like it's flowing downhill, it would just be at an angle like this. And look like this, I mean. So while for still water this looks quite good, especially the reflections, if you're going downhill, or if there's a river like that that's changing heights, then something like this might look better. Not saying that this as is looks great, because it doesn't yet. You'd need to put in some more different colors, maybe some more blue running down the center, something sort of like this, maybe. But if you imagine this going all the way along the valley down here, and then going all the way down here as well, maybe with boulders either side at some places, and maybe some other water textures as well, you can see how that might look more like an actual rough river, I suppose. Anyway, back to texturing. I am, let's see, I'm going to add a bit more rock over here where it's a bit steeper. And I'm actually going to increase the size all the way so that we get less of the repeating pattern. And I want these sort of rocky walls to be a feature of narrower valleys. So for example, the way we're going this way, or up here after the valleys narrow down again. Okay, so yes. How does that look? Does it look okay? And yes, and I didn't paint rock over here because I'm not sure about this bit, because this has clearly been built up to meet the tracks, so it wouldn't really make sense for there to be cliff there. But it's a bit too sharp for rock, so I might just leave it as grass or put down a different texture, different rock texture. But we'll get to that when we get to that, really. And this bit should also be a bit more painted. One second. Be back in a second. Just need to take a quick look. Thought I heard someone at the door. Nope, nobody there. Must have been the wind. This is where in a movie you'd probably see something creeping up behind me while I'm not looking, and you'd love to let me know, but none of you, well, one of you has an account, but maybe you're away from keyboard right now. So the one other person who's watching who once down he doesn't have an account, and that's when we'd have a quick montage of you trying to create an account, but the email doesn't go through, then the internet drops out, and just in time you'd make an account. Probably save me. So anyway, back to Trainz. So let's see. I think this looks good for now. So now I'll add the... Should I add the... Should I add the trees first or the ballast? I'm thinking ballast because it's easier to see with no trees in the way. See how wide was it? What's something like that maybe? Oops. Is that too wide? Yes, it is too wide. Just a little bit, not much, but just a little bit. Something like this, I think, is better. Okay, so now I'm just quickly going to look alongside this and try to kind of repaint some areas. Also here you can see the pattern repeating a lot because it's just going straight along the axes of, well, one of the world axes, which means it's going straight along the grid, so you can see the pattern repeating a lot. So, now just quickly do the gravel for the road bed. Oh, hello, community showcase. That's an interesting name. Am I being showcased somewhere? Welcome to the stream. Yes. Just preparing to do the forest over here to then hopefully put down some buildings in this town. So yes, we've made the valley coming up from all the way down there. Also, I haven't seen you watching any of my streams before, so I'm going to assume that you're a new viewer you've never seen before, and I'd be interested to see, well, to know how you came to find the stream. Did you see the announcement on Discord, or did you watch or find an archived stream? Are we there yet? Almost there. And then once I've got the ballast down, I can actually replace the track with the actual one. I can actually let go here, so that I've got a point to undo to, if I should need it. Like that. Not that I actually want to keep it like that, I meant to undo to, like that. Sorry. Okay. Now, how does this look? I'm just quickly going to go back along. Well, actually, no. I'll do it after I've replaced the track, because the other track might have a different width of ballast. And we've just gained another viewer. Hello, whoever you might be. Welcome to the stream. We're just ballasting the tracks. After that, we'll probably, well, after I finished ballasting, sorry, I'll go on to making, putting down some trees, some forest, and then we'll probably get on to placing down some buildings in the town to kind of get the character of the town. Okay, that looks fine. Oh, I need to change the height of this, I've just seen. Well, maybe not that much. I think I'll change it manually. Sorry. Just with a very, very low sensitivity. Just because I don't really... Ah, that changes that, right. I just don't really want this to be floating. So something like this is probably fine. And I do realize that towns are probably the thing in when you're making a route in Trainz that takes the most amount of time, simply because there are so many unique things in towns, and by that I don't mean things that are found nowhere else on the route. I mean, technically that's true, but I mean more things that you can't just copy and paste. When you're doing a forest, just select a whole bunch of forests, paste it, it's fine. Well, if you've got the right assets, but most of the time it's fine. But when you're building a town, you have to place, well, at least close to the track where where the player can see it, you have to place the buildings in such a way, well, that it looks like an actual town. Sure, if it's more flat land, or you're placing buildings that are quite far away, that the player doesn't see that up close, or maybe just through some trees, then you can get away with using some splines, or maybe building just a few blocks and then copy pasting those. But in our case, we've got the town right here, so can't really get away with that. But it is very rewarding when it's actually finished and you can see what it looks like. Okay. Maybe a bit of a rotated texture along here, just so that we don't have this pattern over there. Something like that. And now I think, yes, we've got the ballast down pretty much. Just a little bit more here, where I seem not to have gotten it all the way down. But now, let's actually replace the track. So I'm going to go to bulk replace assets, assets to update, this track here please, and then I'll go to the right tracks menu, select the actual track we're using, put it in there, anywhere en route, and for this I'll actually go over here to make it as cinematically appealing as possible. And 3, 2, 1, there we go. So, how does that look? That looks good, although from a bit far away you can start to see the flickering of the Z functional junctions, but I can't do anything about that. How does it look here? I mean, it's not perfect. I think it's because the height of this changed. So I need to readjust that height. Oh, it's actually a lot lower now. I mean, I was thinking of getting rid of this gravel, but actually in real life, sort of spurs going down to an industry like that, like a loading and unloading platform for goods, are quite often just like this, covered in gravel. So now I'll go back in with the rusty track. No, not this one, the other side. Rusty narrow. No, these are. I'm trying to see if there is a wide narrow one. No, a wide rusty one. That was what I was originally saying. So, yeah, I'm just going to use this one. So first, I'm going to replace this bit over here with a rusty one going down this way. And actually I'm going to replace these bits as well, because this is in the kind of 60s or 50s, so diesel power is quite commonplace. So yeah, makes sense that it's not used that much anymore. Same with the refueling thing, because the refueling track is used less, even less often than the. I mean the track to refuel the tower itself. So this one where the train dumps its coal to refuel the coaling tower, that's used even less often than the track to refuel the tenders of locomotives. However, this track I think I'm going to leave as silvery, because maybe it's being used for shunting as well. Now how about this one? I think I'm going to, well, let's see. If you've got an account and you're willing to type in chat, feel free to give advice. Should I leave this as this gleaming silver, or should I make it more rusty? In the meantime, while you maybe write something in chat, I'm going to replace the helper spur with the rusty track as well. Actually, I'm going to replace this one first. And I need to apply the height again. And nothing in chat. Okay, so I've decided, and I'm actually going to make it rusty. And I'm actually going to make sure that the height of this... Oh, it didn't keep it. I was going to say make sure that it keeps its height, but I need to actually apply it over the top again for it to keep its height, apparently. Sure. And you can see I've placed this rusty track onto this multiple industries here. Here it still has the silvery track, the used one, because over here the used one is still attached. Now if I delete this here and put the rusty one here as well, you can see that it still keeps the original one, even though on this side it's got the rusty track, and on this side it's got the rusty track as well. Sorry. Well, this is because it thinks there's already a track attached, so that's the track it should keep. So what you need to do in these cases is you actually need to remove both sides, and then if you attach one track, it replaces it, as you can see. Okay, so just sort of to back here. And actually what I could do is I could put it slightly further down so that this is sort of also covered in gravel a bit more, because I kind of like this look. Kind of looks less maintained. Also, we could mess around with track condition here at some point. Yeah. So I think that this looks good for now, although I think I'll actually replace this track here as well. Simply because it's just not used as often. Although now the Z fighting is even more obvious. Well, if you're coming at it from sort of this angle, yeah, it's much more obvious. So no, I'm going to leave this track here because the Z fighting is not as obvious. 1 second. Okay. So, now that that's done, I was going to start placing buildings, but actually, I think I'll do the trackside objects first, so the signals and things like that. Yeah, sometimes it takes a little while to save. There we are. And I know that it might feel like I'm putting it off, but that's not true. I actually enjoy it really a lot. Unless it's a city where you just end up placing buildings down for hours and hours, and you still, because you want to make it realistic, So first you begin with sort of rural areas where you have like maybe farms or things like that, and then go a bit further in, you get sort of these suburbs, and then you get more denser and denser, you get sort of industrial area as well. And then you get into some of the bigger buildings, and then you have to do the same thing again on going out of the city, unless it's a terminal. Oh, sorry, not terminal, terminus. But yeah, it can get a bit repetitive with that. So, let's see. Is there a... Yes, there is a left-hand side one. I'm going to use a 3-headed one here, because I said a diverging track over there, and I like the look of the 3-headed one, even though a 2-headed one would probably do just fine for the speeds that are used here, which at the moment is 35 miles an hour. Actually, no, technically, actually it's supposed to be. Technically it isn't yet, because I haven't put down the speed signs on this area yet. And since this is coming down as well, this is one of the sidings. I'll put down the signals over there. Oh, sorry, over here. Should I use... No, I think I'll use the dwarf ones. Actually, I might use the tall ones, the tall dwarfs. Although, are these a bit further away from the tracks? Yeah, they are. So I'm actually going to use the 2-headed dwarf one here. Actually, should I? Yes, I'll do it. And I'll actually put one back there. Or should I put it before this junction or after this junction? I think it's safe enough to put it before the junction. It's probably not going to cause too many trains to become stuck. Okay, so that protects going off onto the main line here. How about this? I think this is okay to be 1 block. At least going up to here. And I do realize that some of these locations would probably be dark territory, so unsignaled, sorry, in real life. But in Trainz, it doesn't really work like that, because in Trainz you have to put down signals for the AI trains to work properly. You can't just send them off into unsignaled territory. They'll stop at the last red signal and won't continue. So you'd have to put down invisible signals, which can work, but then that means that the player won't know where the signal is to stop at, unless you put down markers specifically where they should stop at. And I'm still not entirely convinced about this signal here, because I do want to have a signal here, but if I have one here, then 2 trains could block each other, but this is not going to be used that much anyway. So tell you what, I'm just going to put it down and hope that people creating sessions won't make the trains get stuck there. So, okay, so this section's done. I do need to still do the this side. So on the left side, I think that a 1-headed signal should suffice, because it's on a curve already, so it will have to be traveling a bit slower anyway. With this one, I think one with 2 heads should be enough to indicate whether you're going straight ahead or whether you're diverging onto this line. And I do realize that if a train came up to here and another one came along the main line here, then they could block each other. But that's what the siding is for. So if a train came up to here, it would have to stop here. The other one could come up to here and then would need to take the siding, go past the other train, and then go back on the main line. So yeah, they don't really block each other here that much. We do, however, need some more dwarfs. Also dwarf signals. So should I place them separately for this track? I think I'll do that. Is the left-hand side one? Yes, there is. Sorry. So one there. And for this track, I don't think so, because here it would be single track without having a way to pass around. Oh, and actually, this is the first time that we're going to put down a bumper, which is the US name for a buffer. It should have one. Well, it's for knuckle couplers. Where is it? I think I've put one in my pick list somewhere. Well, I'll just search for it. Bumper. No. That one looks good. I've also got the yellow one. I think the rusty one fits better. Oh, we've got these ones. Huh, that's interesting. This one's actually, I think, at a higher, well, at a higher height. But it's called US. So, I'll actually go back to our SD40. Well, this is a different SD40. Going to see what the knuckle coupler height looks like. Oh, and apparently it can move through this one. 1 second. I don't know why it's snapping around like this. It shouldn't do. Yeah, see, that's it. It is too tall, like I thought. So I am going to use the one back here. So we need one here. We need one at the end of this. And in Trainz, these do count as signals. So if you've got a signal, let's see where. Oh, well, we need to put them in still. Okay, well, for example, here. If we have a signal here, and the junction set to go right, then it will find, well, this one's closer. So we have this signal here, and if it looks along the track, if the junction's set correctly, normally it will display a red aspect because it doesn't find a signal here. The track is open, it just ends. But if we place a bumper here, or a buffer in the UK, then it will recognize that as a signal, and since that signal over there then finds no more signals along the track back here, it will display the danger aspect, so red in most cases, and so this signal will display a caution aspect, so approach aspect in the US, which means that you're actually able to go all the way up to the buffer or bumper, and that's just the way Trainz handles it. Yes, that's what I wanted to say. Okay, so now I just need to put down some more signals. So let's see, I'll just come from the other, I'll put down one signal here first. And actually I'll put down a tall dwarf signal for once. It's good to have a bit of variety. So just over there. And then I'm just going to put down the signals coming from the side. So we've got this junction here. From this side it's okay. From this side, yes, we need to have signals protecting this. So what did I put on the other side of this? I put a dwarf on the sidings, and I put a mainline signal on the mainline. So I'll do the same. Put down a mainline signal here, and I'm going to put down some dwarf signals over there. One here, and one there. So now the exit onto the main line is protected. Now, should we protect this as well? It would mean placing a signal over here, although, I don't think so. I don't think it's necessary. It might just get in the way of switching, because if you're turning around here and you're switching some wagons, like you're coming from down over here, you pull up here, detach the locomotive, pull it around, turn around, then come back up onto it, then it would just be another red signal that you'd need to put a rule in at the session. Oh, hello, Commander Root. Welcome back. It's nice to have you again. I'm just signaling this area here, and I think I've put in all the things. This is actually where I'll use the minimap, because you can zoom in further. So let's see. Wait, is this displaying? That's odd. I wonder if you can see that on stream. The little dot at the end of this siding, the one at the top around here, is displaying a little white light, whereas the dot at the end of the siding here is displaying a red light. That is strange. Not sure what's causing that. Anyway, I'm just quickly glancing over to see if I've missed any signals anywhere. Well, okay, I'll just look at this little area here. So, should there be a signal here when coming over there? I think so, yes. So I'll well, the platform goes all the way up to here. So the signal would need to be on this side, which means that it could potentially block this crossing if a train stops and goes all the way up to the signal. But I think I'll trust in the driver that they'll stop before the intersection. So yes, I'll put a small... Actually, I'll put the one with the tall mast here, so it's easier to spot. Right, that's easier to spot. It's still a bit difficult to spot, but sure. Okay. Sure, this I think it's fine for now, this area. When we actually get to driving some things, we might notice that some signals are missing, but... Oh, I forgot, we need to place a bumper over here. Things like that. Yeah, we might notice some things like that. But we can fix them as and when they come up. And yes, I did just add one there by accident. Just place one here. And it already looks much more realistic when there's something protecting the end of the track. Hello, Lurksax. Still not entirely sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but I'll go with it. Welcome back to the stream. We've just been signaling this area here. So now I'll just put down the speed signs coming into and out of this yard area. Just before we get on to putting down some of the forest. Okay. So, let's see. We used 35 miles an hour. So I'll place the speedboard here just before we turn out onto... Well, actually, I'll place it over here. Just before we go onto the main line. Just so it doesn't show up when we're driving along the main line as a speed change when the speed doesn't actually change. So, yes, and 15 miles an hour into the yard here. Well, I say yard. Well, I guess it's a small yard. So 15 miles an hour there. And the same thing over here. So, no, the other side. 15 miles an hour in this direction. And then 35 miles an hour out. And should we have a speed reduction going over this bridge here, the right one? I think we should, because this is a very steep curve. and 35 miles an hour is quite speedy for this. So I'm actually going to place down a 35 miles an hour speed limit going the other way, so when we're coming back onto the main line. And I'm also going to place one here when we come off of the bridge. And what speed should we have for the bridge? Maybe 25 miles an hour. So a 10 mile an hour reduction. So 25 miles an hour there. And we need to get the other one. So 25 miles an hour. Oh no, we don't. Actually, yes, I will use this one on the side because we've already got the signal on the side. So if the driver's already looking at the signal, it's probably easier to spot the speed sign here as well if it's on the side. So like that. And since this is... Actually, wait, did I do it on this side? I might put down some invisible speed signs as well. Like I did over here for the main line. Just if a service starts on the main line, it will have the correct speed limit. Which I do realize, yes, it will come up on the little menu down below as a speed limit change. Probably, I think so. But it's better than having a post, which would be a bit redundant. So just like that. And also, actually no, I was thinking maybe we need to do this here as well, but it doesn't actually connect to the main line. It just connects over to the other siding, so we don't actually need to put speed signs here as well. Sorry, 1 second. Yes, I think that's fine. No, we do need one more, which is here. Not 35, no, 15, please. 15 miles an hour here. Just so that if you don't know, this is the helper or banker track. So locomotives will be stationed here to wait if a train needs to be helped up the grade. So if we want a session where the player is the driver of one of these trains, or one of these locomotives, then we'll need to have an invisible speed sign here because their default speed is going to be 40 miles an hour and needs to be updated. So we'll update it as the player drives out onto the junction into the yard, and then it'll be updated again to 40, or no, not 40, 35 when they exit the yard, or there on the other side. Okay, so actually, just one more thing I just remembered, which are the junction levers or levers. So let's see. Oh, that's the track. Actually, I'll just go over here. So I'll get the main line lever or lever first. And yeah, this is the thing with building things in Trainz. You think you're done, but actually no, you're not. And that's actually not just the thing with Trainz, but with any creative project, whether it be painting or writing or game development, which actually I know quite a bit about since I've been making games. Well, I started learning in 2012. Actually, there's going to be a release on my first game released on Steam soon. I have released some games on the Mac App Store before, but yeah, my first game on Steam will come out soon. So I'm excited for that. But that's beside the point. I didn't really want to talk about that here. But if you want to buy it, go right ahead. No, you know that I was joking, but only half joking. Okay, so anyway, back to route building. Yes, we need to put down the yard switches still. So putting one down here. Green lights showing when it's straight, that's good. I'll need to place down the other one, the yard one, because I want this. Actually, should it be on this side? I think it should be on this side. Yes, it should be on that side, I think. Actually, no, I need to stick with the same one here. That's on the outside. Here we need the other one so that it shows a green light when pointing straight ahead. Then we need one here. Yeah, that's not going to get confusing at all for somebody who doesn't usually play on US routes. They're coming up to the station. They've got a signal up here which actually doesn't do anything. It's just a prop. It's not connected to any signals. So they've got that. Then they've got a dwarf signal here. So they might have a red light being displayed there. And then besides that, they have a green light. I'm sure they'll be fine. And what I generally do is I place the junction lever on the outside of junctions, so of the diverging track. And in this case, should the green light, so usually the green light is the junction set straight ahead. But in this case, straight ahead just goes on the turntable and then ends, whereas diverging goes over to the coaling tower, the siding, and the unloading area. So arguably, the main line could be the one that's diverging, and the other one is actually the diverging track. So, I think that's what I'm going to do. Actually, no. You know what? No, I'm not going to do it. Simply because it would be a bit confusing. So I'm just going to make it so that the straight track is always the non-diverging one, even though the other one might be the main line. So in this case, yeah, the junction is set to the left, even though it goes to more stuff, and it is the more used one. It's set to be diverging. Because, actually, it does make more sense that way, because drivers who don't necessarily know the area that well wouldn't know if this light is green because it's set straight ahead, or because it's green because it's set to diverge, but there's just more stuff there. So yeah, thinking about it does make more sense to always have it so the straight one is the green one. Same here as well. And in case you were wondering what the difference between the mainline switches and the yard switches is, the yard switches has green light, well, this type of yard switch has a green light and a yellow light, whereas the mainline switch has a green light and a red light. Let's see. No, this needs to be the... yeah, it does need to be the other one. Actually, should it be? No, it needs to be the first one because it's supposed to be on the outside of the track, so like that. Okay, that's fine. This one needs to be updated. The wrong one. Okay, so it's green going straight ahead. This one as well. And in this case, it's a bit tricky because there's not a clear left or right. So we could just use... well, no, this one's got that as well. I'm going to say straight ahead is onto the main line. So, like this. Did we update this one back here? Yes, we did. Just double checking. Those are all fine. That one's fine. This one's fine. So are these. And I think that completes the trackside objects here. Actually, what was that? Configurable invisible speedboard. Huh, might be useful someday. Okay. Wait, what? There's a concrete drain lid as a trackside object. I mean, maybe. Okay. Oh, here's the thing we might need. We might need a signal box. No, these are British. Nope, these aren't British, but they're Germanic. Or German, Austrian, that kind of area. Let's see. I mean, if I don't find one that's suitable now, we can always come back to this area. The problem with these, I mean, are there? No, there must be signal boxes in in the US as well. It's just that maybe I don't have any of them installed. No, that's all of them. I don't, maybe there's not that big of a difference. I won't do any research now. It's just something that popped into my mind. So, I mean, you can see it already looks a lot better with the right trackside objects in place. And I do like these junction levers because it just adds so many more lights to everything, which just makes it look so much more complicated than it actually is. Okay, so yes, this first. Right, now back to what we were doing originally, well, almost originally, which is placing the forest. So now that we've got the main ballast texture down, I'm going to start placing the trees. Actually, these trees first, the closer ones, the more dense ones. So I'm going to go over here, copy them from this. Oh, nope, not like that, but like this, I think. Let's see. Yeah, that should encompass everything. Oh, and if you're wondering why I'm not pasting the texture as well, that's simply because well, for one, I've already got ballast down. Two is that I want the forest texture to very closely come alongside the actual tree line, and if I pasted it as I went, I would need to paint the more grass over it, and that's just more effort. And yes, I am pasting over the rocks here as well, but the trees on the rocks will be deleted. Oh, just realized, I'm pasting the dense forest everywhere. Didn't actually mean to do that. Because it is more performance intensive. So yeah, although in this little area, since you can see up there quite well, I think it would be good to have the more denser forest here anyway. Maybe not up there completely, and we'll remove quite a bit of this where the rocks are. Okay, so yes. Should this area here be forested? Maybe. I mean, I'll add, I'll make sure I don't accidentally delete an object I've placed over there. I'll add the trees going up to here, and if it's in the way, if we'd rather see the lake down there, then we can remove them again. But I'd like to place them first so that we have the option of trying it out, basically. Okay, now the less dense version of the forest. And you can already see how much quicker this pastes. Sorry. And yes, I am going to grab a little area of this and just kind of paste it around here a bit. See, it already looks much better. Even with the trees growing all over the rocks and things, it already looks so much better. I was searching for a better word for the word better, but as it turns out, there was no better word for better, just better. And maybe it's better that way. Okay, so just going to add the forest over here, and I am going to add it quite close to the track, to the road, where some houses are probably going to go. Oh, I accidentally removed the road, the intersection, and it's the same reason why I place it over the tracks as well. It's easier to remove the trees than it is to find all the different assets and then manually place them down where you want them but didn't place them. I find it's just quicker. Now, should we have trees going down to the lake? I'm thinking over here where the forested area is supposed to begin, yes, but probably not where the town is, because a lot of the trees down there would probably have been cleared away. If not just for the fact that they needed wood to build the houses, it also gives a nicer view of the lake, I think. That being said, you can't really see the lake from here. Anyway, it gives a better view for the players looking down there rather than if it was all forested, which is why we might get rid of a lot of this forest here as well. Anyway, 1 second, just quickly going to check if there are any more people watching. No, not at the moment. Okay, so I am actually going to place a few more there. Nope, that. Remove the crossing, so a few more just there. And I'm keeping an eye on this crossing here and on this crossing here, which at the moment does appear to have some grass inside of it. So I'm actually just going to flatten this out a bit. Just like that. Okay. Now for the forest on the other side. And for this, I'm actually going to be placing it all the way down to the waterline on this side, because it just looks really good if you have trees reflecting in the water. For this, I'm just going to keep it roughly around here, maybe making it come a little bit more down here for this curve, so the curve is a bit more pronounced. I'm going to save and place it along here. And also down here. I mean, I'll need to go over this and delete the trees that are in the water, obviously. But not at the moment. And I might also get a smaller area of less dense forest and kind of place it down here. So maybe we could have a little wooded area coming up here. What impact does that have on the viewability of this area? Well, we can still see the lake a bit through there. Come over here. I mean, maybe we could have it come up a little bit more. I just really don't want to block the view of the lake. So what does this look like? If we're down here, well, it looks like tree cam at the moment, and yeah, I mean we can trim this back a bit if needed when we've actually cleared away some of the trees, so it's easier to see what we're actually doing, which I'm actually going to do now. Yeah. I know I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes I just tend to start a sentence or just put "and" at the end, because I think that I've still got something to add to the sentence, something that I haven't already said. But then I realize that I don't, and then I just end the sentence, maybe with just "and yeah" or something like that. I wonder if that's very apparent. I mean, now it is, obviously, because I just said it. I wonder, what I mean is that I'm wondering if it was apparent before I said it. Not before I said it, but before I drew attention to it. Yeah. And I am keeping some of these trees down over there. Just to emphasize the height difference, because you can see that the terrain has been built up a bit over here to come up to where the tracks are. And if the trees are down there, then it actually looks like the tracks are much higher up, and you're actually climbing a mountain. Okay. Yeah, that's the one I want, a big one. And I'll actually put this tree over this side. And maybe this shrub down there, kind of like this. Oops, didn't press the S key. Sorry. Now, do I actually want to keep these trees here at the moment? I'm going to say yes, because we've already got a really good view of the valley when we're just coming down over here. So we've got plenty of time to look down at the valley still here. And then when we come up into here, it's nice to have a bit more tree cover on the side. And here we can put the trees down at the base of the... Is embankment the right word? I think embankment's the right word. Going to save. Okay, let's see. How does this look from a bit further back? I think it looks good. You can still see the ballast, so you can still see where the track goes, but you can't. And you can see that there are trees either side, so it's something you've got to look forward to. A bit of change of scenery, or change of the feeling. I guess more, it's more that than change of scenery. Although technically it's part of the scenery, so maybe. Okay, I'm just keep making sure that these trees aren't growing on top of the ballast. Well, I realize that this is still quite high up here, but I do want some more foliage up here to make it feel a bit tighter. So something, well, maybe I can get this one up here. Well, no, I meant the other one. This one. I've got the... I accidentally pressed H, so I was accidentally trying to change the height of the tool, of the object, rather than actually placing it. So, so something like this, probably. Okay, now let's continue on a bit. I'm going to replace this tree with a bit of a larger one, so maybe something like this. Maybe turn it a little, put it like maybe just about there. I think that's good. Pardon me. Okay, let's see. Okay. Coming down here. Oh, and I don't think I've mentioned it this stream, so these streams are going to be archived on our YouTube channel, like I say in every stream, unless I forget, which I don't think I have so far. Just in case somebody new is watching who might not be able to watch the entire stream, but wants to, you know where to find it. Okay, now we're getting to the interesting bit. I'm actually going to place this tree just about sort of there, just so that from here it looks like it's, well, maybe not that far down, because it looks like it's already, but like this, when you're coming up along here, although I want it to look like it's growing just at the edge of the precipice, which coming along here looks good. And from the other angle, yeah, looks good as well. Okay, so just quickly clear this bit here. Actually, maybe not all of these. Maybe there could already be some trees growing at the bottom of this rock face. And it will look much better once we add the grass spline as well. And it's funny because in this loading screen, it's still displaying the old beach ball cursor image, only it's not changing color. Because in macOS, now, since a few versions ago, quite a few versions ago, you've got the new beach ball when it's loading. You know, it's the equivalent to Windows's hourglass when things are loading, or it's not responding at the moment. But yeah, they updated it when they changed the look to be more sleek and flat, even though I quite liked the 3D look of everything, which it doesn't have now. I think they probably, what they probably did was they changed the look of macOS. I think back then it was still called OS X or OS X, OS X, to be more like iOS, since iOS spiked. And it does take a bit of time to load sometimes, or to save. This is where it would be really useful to have people talking in chat. Yeah. Okay, so I'll just give it a couple more minutes. It's probably going to save just fine, but if it's not, then I might have to cancel it, so either if it quits normally or force quit it, and then I'll probably revert back to the previous save, which is why I save as often as I do. So, have you had an interesting day so far? Yeah. I mean, it's all fun and games asking these questions, but, well, if nobody's answering, it doesn't really make that much sense. Just sound like I'm talking to my imaginary friends. I mean, I'm totally not talking to my imaginary friends. Isn't it funny how time seems to crawl when you're waiting, and yet it seems to fly when you're having fun? Okay, well, we've only got 13 minutes left. So, yeah, let's see. Okay, I mean, it would probably come, but it has already sometimes taken upwards of 15 minutes, sometimes like 17 minutes, when it kind of becomes stuck like this. So I am actually going to, because Trainz does it doesn't submit edits when it hasn't saved. So even though sometimes it does make saves, it doesn't submit things. So the last version of the route that I've still got, so the last time I saved, is the submitted version. So when I load back up, it will ask me whether I want to revert or use the unsubmitted changes. So I'll revert and then go back to the last save game. Usually I'd wait for it to finish. Oh, and hello, there I am. Yes. Usually I'd wait for it to finish, but since we've only got, well, now 12 minutes left, I don't really want to waste that time on that. And also you're gonna get the nice lovely black bar, since it's going to start in full screen mode with the lowered resolution, which OBS doesn't like. Yeah, and it's just scanning the asset database quickly because it's, well, I forced quitted it, so it's just scanning for corrupted files, which there won't be any because I didn't install anything or change anything, modify anything while I quit it. Oh, this gives a perfect chance to try out the paused screen. Never used it before. First time using it now. So how do you like it? Paradise is online, but paused. Yeah, funny, I know. Yeah, and then we can go to ready. Oh, and apparently we really are ready because Trainz has just started up again. I'll switch back now, and here we are. And as you can see, here is Trainz. Yeah, in all its glory. No, make it a bit bigger. Here we are. Going to load the root back up again. Actually, I'm going to load the session because some things are saved in the session layer. And here we go. Revert changes because I'm saving often, so I don't need to worry about lots of things being gone. And here we are. As you can see, it's just a little the trees over here. So this area has already been saved to been cleared. So I'll just continue deleting these trees. And you know, I really wanted to get a driver's eye view coming up the valley with the trees. So let's save 5 minutes for that at the end. So we can come up the valley, maybe 6 minutes. is better, because it might take a little while, and I don't really want this stream to go over time, what I'm saying. Oops, didn't mean to delete that big tree. And we will add grass down here, which will make it look a lot better. Actually, no, there was a tree there I didn't want to delete. Okay. Just need to move these trees off of the road. You know, when people say there's a tree on the road, this is usually not what they mean. Okay. Oops. On the session layer. Luckily, when you're moving objects, it doesn't count as you putting them on a different layer. So the changes I made just then are still saved on the root layer, not on the session layer. Okay, so, yeah, of course, this bit. Oops. Maybe one of the more autumny, or I guess fall-y shrubs, since this is America. In America it's called fall instead of autumn. Which, I mean, it makes sense. When you say fall, it brings to mind images of these bright red and orange leaves falling off of the trees, getting blown down until they gently land on a footpath in a park or forest. Then this crunching sound as you step over them. It brings to mind good memories slash, I guess, daydreams, maybe? It's the best word to describe them. So, yeah, I do like fall as a word for autumn, but at the same time, autumn just sounds so much more elegant. Like, what time of year is it? It's autumn. Or what time of year is it? It's fall. I mean, yeah. I mean, fall does sound nice as well. But I think autumn just sounds a bit more what's the word I'm looking for? Unique in a way. I mean, because fall could really be any time of year. If it's summer, then there's more rainfall. Because in summer, there is more rainfall usually than at other times of year. So it would make sense to call summer fall, or maybe winter, because that's when snow falls. So, and that's very special, it only happens at that time of year, that season. So it would make sense to call winter fall. I guess I've never thought about it that much, but yeah. Also, spring, you've got cherry blossoms, yes, the end of spring, the cherry blossom flower petals fall. Yeah. And yeah, we might take some of these houses down here, and use them again in the other town, because I really like the way they look. Also, I've realized I've just gone a little bit over speed, and I'm actually going to drive in realistic mode, or cab mode as it was called before, just as a change of pace. and we won't always need to start from down here. At some point, when the route's a bit too long to start from down here when test driving it, we might start from horror point sightings. But for now I think it's still within the range that we can start from down here. Oh, hello, Thikur. Welcome to the stream. The stream is going to end in a couple minutes. I'm just driving this locomotive up to the new bit to get a sense for the route, how it feels so far. Yes. Oh, we need to speed up a little bit more as the grade climbs. I'm actually going to see if it's too loud. I don't think it is. Maybe it is. Not sure. I'm speeding again. Yeah, I'm not really paying that much attention at the moment to the speed. If I was actually driving this, like if I wanted to drive a session, I would keep a much closer eye on the speed, but yeah, it's not really that important at the moment. Oh, look at that locomotive glistening. Glistening in the sun, some might say. That's a reference to a song that was used in a documentary about the GG1 locomotives. Yeah, the song was actually written for that documentary and then was dispersed out throughout the entire series. I think there's a 4-part series of that uploaded to YouTube. It's an old documentary. Not sure if it's still there or if it's been claimed by copyright. I'm not sure. It might be worth looking up if you're interested in sort of American trains or trains in general. Just look at that slope back there, even if the trees haven't rendered in yet, because I do actually have the render distance set quite low, mostly because, well, it helps when when route building, because sometimes, for example, when you're when you're painting down textures, it does lag a bit, and also obviously because I'm streaming, and it helps with that as well. Okay, so we just need to go around the curve and then we'll be approaching horror point sidings over there. Just a bit more up the hill and we'll get to the new bit. Just imagine how this would look, will look when I've extended the slopes to go a bit further up. Back there as well. Which, yes, I will likely do off stream. Also, I've just realized I need to put in the frogs on the new junctions. But I'll do that next time, probably. And I mean, unless I forget. Well, one of you will just have to type it in chat and remind me. Aha, now I'll get you typing in chat one way or another. No, seriously, it's fine. I'm just glad you're watching. So, yes, horror point sightings, here we go. It is a bit odd that with this locomotive, the bell is louder than the horn. That's an issue that I found quite a few Trainz locomotives seem to have. So there we've got a clear signal. Yes, the top one is green, the bottom one is red. If there is ever any red aspect below a green aspect in American signaling, then just ignore the red ones. They're just on so you know that the light isn't broken. As you can see, it says clear if I hover over it, and it turns to danger when the train goes over it, because now the train's in that signal block. Also, the next episode that I will upload, the next episode of my tutorial series, my route building tutorial series, which I'll upload on YouTube. Actually, tomorrow, I think, is a special, because it covers a few points that were suggested to me by a viewer of the tutorial series, things that they wanted to be covered. Yes. Oh, now we're at this bit here. So, yes, right. If you have any things that you want to, that you'd like a bit more information on, maybe, about Trainz route building, then feel free to message me on Discord or get in touch via YouTube or something like that, and I'll see what I can do. Yeah, you can see how steep it's going uphill now. 2.6%. I'm really liking this route. And this is the bit where you can see into the valley that I was talking about. Also the bit back there, that we're approaching now. You can just sort of glimpse the lake back there in the background. I'm not sure if you can see that on stream, but just where the mouse is over there, you can just about glimpse the lake. Let's just quickly look back. Oh, and I've realized that we've gone over time on the length of the stream. I'm just imagining that I've got like a train that's maybe half a mile long, just dragging it up this slope, just got with helper engines and everything, just all engines notch 8, just trying to pull this thing up the mountain. And then just imagine coming up to a sloped siding, you're just at a reasonable speed, maybe you've got the train up to maybe 30 miles an hour, you're just coming up to the speed limit, and then you see an approach. You know that the next siding is going to be a red, and you know that you have to start braking, even though you've just gotten the train up to speed. Oh, that's going to be quite frustrating, but it's going to be satisfying if I give the player a long stretch of track afterwards that they can use to actually get up to full speed, to track speed. So, yeah. I do tend to think about the psychological aspect of when I'm making sessions. For example, if I'm putting in a lot of stop signals, or if I'm making the train encounter a lot of other trains, because if you have to wait for a lot of other trains, then it usually it does make it feel more realistic. And yes, we might want to. Well, we can see the lake down there if we zoom out a bit. I think this is fine, the tree line as it is down there. Yeah, but well, it makes it feel a bit more realistic, because even though it depends on the kind of train that you're driving to see, depending on which train would give way. But yeah, it does make it feel a bit more realistic, because it makes it feel more alive. Like, now you have to wait, that train passes, it's got somewhere it's heading off to, even if it just goes around the bend and then disappears. But still. Whereas if you make a lot of the other trains wait for you, basically most of them, then it can feel a bit unrealistic. Although, if you've got an important train, like you say, as the session begins, you put something in like, oh, this shipment's just come in and it's been delayed a couple of days, and it needs to be brought up to the transfer yard in a couple of hours, and you've got the highball. Then it makes the player feel like it's got an important job to do. So then if the other trains all give way, then that kind of what's the word, intensifies that in a way. It underlines it, like, oh yes, this must be important because all the other trains, including passenger trains, are making way for this freight train. So yes. Because it's more than, for me at least, when I'm making sessions in trains, it's more than just telling the player to go from A to B and that's it, because, well, it's an experience. And as such, it shouldn't purely be go from there to there, follow the markers, and you'll be done, I think. I mean, that can be good if it's enough, but I tend to go that extra step further and try to put a bit more story. So, as we've parked our train in our makeshift engine shed, I think that is a good place to end today's session. So, let's see. I'm just trying to get a good angle for the thumbnail. I think something like that would actually look really good. I'm trying to keep a bit more space below because the thumbnail will go there. So something like this, probably. Well, yeah. Well, I think that's good enough, probably. Just something like, oops, not that much. I want to get a bit more sky up top. Something like that. Okay, fine, sure. Good enough. So, with that being said, going to switch over to this stream. And we've already gone 8 minutes over time. Yes, so thank you for watching. This will be archived on YouTube channel. See you next time. Bye. Yes. And thanks for watching. So, again, bye.